Parents working in academia are used to feeling stressed. Between commuting to and from work, remaining accessible to students, and undergoing the trials of parenthood, they could use a break. But while quarantined at home, parents nationwide are forced to take on even more responsibility. And heading into the next school year, working parents are desperate for help. I'm Joe Nocuto, multimedia producer for The Chronicle. When Illinois shut down March 21st to slow the spread of the coronavirus, parents scrambled to fill the gaps left in their children's lives while finding ways to keep themselves afloat, something many people have called crisis parenting. To find out more about this, I spoke with Amber Bond, a clinician at JCFS Chicago. She's one of the people responsible for putting together programs at the JCFS for new parents.
So for parents of younger children, they might have needed more hands-on, like making sure that they're safe. Older children were being thrown in to schooling environments that they had no training or understanding of how to participate in. So therefore requiring parents to sit there and work them through it. At the same time, parents were trying to learn how to do their jobs remotely for the first time, which that is an untenable situation. There are not enough hours in the day to do that. So that's why I call it crisis parenting.
This is the reality for a number of Columbia faculty members who are parents, including Jackie Spinner, an associate professor in the communication department.
Well, I have no work-life balance right now. When this all started, I had my desk in my bedroom and it was quiet and I was able to engage better with students. But some of my faculty colleagues were giving me a hard time about never having my video on. I'm like, I'm not turning my video on. You're not invited into my bedroom. I'm sorry.
Spinner is a magazine editor and a single mom of 3 children, alongside teaching at Columbia. Although she has managed to get her work done during quarantine, Spinner says it's led her down a path that's not sustainable.
Since March, I haven't had childcare. I'm a single parent, so childcare is always an issue for me, but it has been particularly acute since March. I have taught 3 courses this summer. I'm an editor of a magazine, and so I have a second job that I have to do. And I have had to do both positions with my kids at home and without any help. The big issue and it hasn't been easy, but I've done my work and that's been good. There are things that I can't do. I can't teach synchronous because it would require me to ignore my kids for 3 hours. I can't do that. My children are young enough that they can't, go independently do their own schoolwork, that kind of thing. And also my 8-year-old is autistic, so he has a disability and I absolutely can't ignore him for 3 hours. I don't want him to leave the house. Right. So that has made things difficult.
Raquel Monroe, co-director of academic diversity, equity, and inclusion, and an associate professor in the dance department, said higher education has historically been averse to providing well-rounded childcare opportunities for faculty and staff. She said academia was created for men who had wives at home, who were primarily responsible for child rearing. A 2003 Yale study on the challenges faced by instructors with kids at home explained one hidden component of the stress many experience. A quote from Joan Williams, a legal scholar, explained that because we view a great worker as someone with no responsibilities paramount to those in the workplace, women, who typically do the most childcare, are at a disadvantage. And this disadvantage is only accentuated further by other important variables, including whether or not a parent has a partner, multiple children, or access to a babysitter. In short, academia was never designed with families in mind, and as a result, many colleges have yet to provide substantial childcare options for its workers. According to a 2017 report by the Institute for Women's Policy Research, the percentage of public universities offering on-campus childcare has been decreasing since 2002. A 2012 report revealed that only 9.2% of private nonprofit colleges, like Columbia, provide on-campus care.
I made a schedule for my kids. I figured out what needed to be done, and I just did it. I mean, that's partly my personality and partly I'm on the phone. Shh. Okay. Sorry.
No
Kids
worries.
they're ready for me to be done with this. Oh, and here we're gonna have a smackdown. Don't use the smackdown in your video, Jonah, even though this is nice and visual.
Smackdown? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, ignore the children fighting in the background,
No,
please.
cut it out.
See, this is why I can't do synchronous teaching.
The college has, however, made some provisions for parents who are unable to work during the pandemic due to childcare issues. In a June 17th email, the Office of the President said paid leave would be made available to employees experiencing COVID-related childcare issues. While this email didn't go into further detail on the exact amount, the full policy posted by the Human Resources Office to SharePoint offers more details. The policy gives employees 4 weeks of leave for childcare issues related to the pandemic, with an additional 4-week extension if the issues are not resolved by the end of the original period. However, the leave itself is unpaid, and employees are required to use all available accrued paid time off in lieu of unpaid time. For any portion of the childcare leave that is paid, the college will continue payroll deductions to collect for the employee's portion of all benefits premiums. When leave is unpaid, the employee may be responsible for paying the employee's share of the premium. As of now, Columbia has no formal relationship with any local childcare facilities, limiting the number of realistic options for faculty and staff. And while childcare options dwindle, the need for childcare services increases. The Chronicle of Higher Education reported the upcoming fall semester will be one of the most trying periods of time for parents in academia. As the coronavirus evolves, parents will have to adapt to shifting schedules and needs, both for themselves and their children. This has led to a situation where those who are struggling the most aren't able to lead the conversation on their childcare needs. The only thing on their minds is how to keep moving forward. At the same time, faculty and staff who are parents have found themselves struggling to support both their own emotional needs and that of their children's, as well as the students they serve, an added degree of stress on top of an already seemingly insurmountable challenge. Jennifer Sadler, a single mom and assistant professor in the Business and Entrepreneurship Department, offered her approach on how she addresses the needs of her students.
I've also had to learn how to set some boundaries and separate a little bit. What I tend to do now is listen. Take some time out of the day and just listen to the concerns that they have. Give them some space to say, if you need extra time, if you know my expectations and you need extra time, let's have a conversation about that. And I'm more than willing to be flexible. I just want to make sure that, you're taking care of yourself.
But faculty and staff have often had to make choices between their students and their own children, creating a great sense of guilt for some. To find out more about this, I spoke with Chris Shaw, an associate professor in the Science and Mathematics Department.
If I've got to schedule a class and I made a commitment to teach a class for my students from 1 o'clock to 2:30, I'm prioritizing that, and my kids can see me doing that and will appeal to your emotional sensibilities by saying, "Why are you always at work?" And so that can be really hard guilt-wise.
At Columbia, when faculty and staff who are parents have an issue related to childcare, the usual approach is to go to their chair and work it out on an individual basis. And this is beneficial when the chairs take issues seriously, but raises the question of what happens when that isn't the case.
Well, and it benefits tenured faculty. So the faculty members who can't make these deals or feel they can't make these deals are tenure track faculty. It's staff. It's people who already feel vulnerable at the institution. Faculty of color. I mean, it's not good policy to encourage faculty to make side deals with their department leadership or with their school leadership. To me, it doesn't fit with Columbia's efforts with DEI, right? I mean, that's not inclusive policy. That's exclusive policy to ask people to make side deals.
To combat this, members of the Faculty Senate, such as Sadler and Shaw, have been in discussion with faculty who are parents to find novel ways to address their child care concerns. Spinner, Sadler, and Shaw suggested instituting a child care facility for employees and students. And while this may seem impossible as a result of the pandemic's social distancing requirements, Bond disagrees.
Traditional centers are starting to open with increased supervision, and summer camps open this summer with also under strict guidelines. And a lot of it relied on kids being outside, which is safer, I think, is what they're telling us. So I don't know that you could say it's impossible to operate a child care center at this time, because those things are operating for sure.
As faculty and staff who are parents continue to cope with the incredible demand the pandemic has placed on them, Bond says it's important for everybody to take care of themselves during these precarious times.
So I'm encouraging parents, as much as they are feeling pulled in 5 different directions, work and school and family and whatever, that they need to find some time in their day to recharge for them. And it's probably after their kids go to bed or before their kids wake up, but find some kind of time to recharge for yourself. I think that's the thing.